If you're having film problems, I feel bad for you, son. I've got 99 problems, but a video detailing the movies I should watch on Netflix before they leave in September is no longer one of them. Hey, I'm Dismoto, and I talk movies and television and make goofy intros like that. If this is your sort of thing, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let's get to it. Alright, so real quick, the way this video is structured, I'm going to split things out by genre. I'm going to start in comedy, I'm going to move into horror, and I'm going to finish in drama. If you'd like to check out the description, I'll have timestamps for each of the genres throughout this video. Let's jump into comedy. Okay, the first comedy that I think you definitely should check out is The Big Lebowski. This is a Coen Brothers comedy starring Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, and Julianne Moore. And this movie just gets better with each viewing. So if you've never seen it, I would say jump on it now, get in a couple viewings before it leaves. And of course, if you've seen it before, maybe catch it one last time before it leaves Netflix. And the reason I'm recommending The Big Lebowski is this is certainly a unique film in that it's not a comedy that has to rely on your typical comedy movie gags. This movie, conversely, presents you with exceptional character development that really elevates the experience to something unlike most other comedies that we see. After taking time to grow familiarity with these characters, the comedy just hits harder, the lines land way better, and the experience really is not one that you'll soon forget. The next really great comedy I'm going to recommend you check out is Superbad. This one is, of course, starring Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, Seth Rogen, Emma Stone, and a whole bunch more super funny people. And this was one of the most hilarious teenage comedies of the early 2000s. And for me, this movie was equal parts funny and sad, which I really enjoyed and didn't expect going into that movie. I thought it would just be super ridiculous comedy the entire time, but it actually ended up being a really well-rounded movie. Another thing I love about watching this movie today is it just reminds us how much things have changed over the past decade, thanks to the actors' use of MySpace and flip phones throughout the movie. For me, what I appreciated most about this movie was how well written and played the characters were, and how the movie seems to get better and better as it progresses. Alright, that's gonna do it for comedy. We're gonna move into horror, where I only have one film recommendation, and it is one that I love, and that is The Ring. Of course, this is early 2000s horror starring Naomi Watts and Martin Henderson, and the premise of this one is that there's a videotape filled with really odd, creepy imagery, which after viewed leads to a phone call foretelling the viewer's death in exactly 7 days. When I first saw this movie, I really enjoyed it at surface level. I didn't really dig into or understand the messaging or undertones of this film being communicated to me as the viewer. Over time, however, I've recognized this is a really deep film with some very interesting messaging and meaning behind it. So if you're not looking for it, you're going to miss that the main tension is found in the attachment of what we watch and how we allow screens to become the primary viewing devices through which we view life. It's actually insane that this movie was telling this message way back in 2002 before screens became as prevalent as they are today. And so now that we're glued to screens literally every waking moment, this message is even better and more relevant. So yeah, The Ring is ultimately about individuals influenced by images and messages they consume, and how we allow these things to change who we are at our core, largely removing independent thought and free will. Sound familiar? Watch this movie. All right, first up in drama is Chinatown, which is technically more than just a drama, but we're using a larger bucket for these last several movies. And this one is a Polanski film starring Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway. Chinatown is one of those rare movies where everything fits together perfectly. Every moment of the film serves the plot, and I never found myself with any desire to look away or thoughts wandering from this movie. And Nicholson's performance here is one of his best of his career, which just worked so perfectly with such a wonderfully written screenplay. Chinatown is an absolute must-watch for any and everyone who enjoys film. Okay, next up in drama we have Road to Perdition, which is a Sam Mendes film starring Tom Hanks, Paul Newman, Jude Law, and Daniel Craig. I legitimately challenge you to find a more peaceful mobster movie. You're not gonna do it? This is another movie where writing, acting, and music composition come together perfectly to film a wonderfully executed crime thriller with an added father-son relationship dynamic. Road to Perdition really defies the typical mob movie approach and is a beautifully crafted work that definitely deserves your time. All right, next up we have The Departed, also pronounced The Departed. This is, of course, Scorsese's Irish Mafia film starring Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, and Mark Wahlberg. The Departed is set in South Boston, where the police send in one of their own to infiltrate the mafia, and the mafia sends in one of their own to infiltrate the police. As you'd expect with a summary like this, things very quickly go sideways. Both sides end up discovering that there's a mole within their organization, and things really begin to heat up. This entire film is rich with interesting approaches to this subject matter, which is perfectly fitting for a movie that grabs your attention within the first 5 minutes. Okay, I have saved my favorite for last. I know that there are some amazing movies in this video, and it might seem crazy to call this one my favorite in the list, but for whatever reason, I can't get enough of this movie. I have seen it so many times, and I will continue watching it because I own this one in my personal collection. And that movie is The Social Network. This one's directed by David Fincher, which of course brought us Fight Club, Seven, and Gone Girl. This movie is, in my opinion, up there with those movies as one of Fincher's best works. This one was written by Aaron Sorkin, who wrote A Few Good Men and Moneyball. This movie is up there in Aaron Sorkin's best works. And this is starring Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield. I believe this is both Eisenberg's and Garfield's best films. And music was composed by Reznor and Ross. They've done some great work, but I feel like their work here is unmatched in anything else they've done. If you're somehow unaware, The Social Network is about the founding of Facebook, specifically how the idea came to be, when it came to be, and the relationship dynamics and struggles between Mark Zuckerberg and his partner, Eduardo Saverin, as well as all the drama between Zuckerberg and Sean Parker and the Winklevoss twins. I can't stress enough, if you've never seen this movie, open Netflix right now and go watch this movie. And then watch it like 3 more times before it leaves on September 1st. As an added bonus, I'm going to throw in one more recommendation for a movie that I have not seen, but it is on my watch list, and that is The Terminal, which is a Steven Spielberg film starring Tom Hanks and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And this movie is about a man without a country because his plane took off just as political unrest was unfolding in his homeland, leaving it in shambles, and now he's stranded at Kennedy Airport, where he's holding a passport that nobody recognizes. And while he's quarantined in this airport, while authorities try to figure out what to do with him, he attempts to go on living and tries to find romance with what he considers to be a beautiful flight attendant. So this is definitely one I want to catch before it leaves Netflix. Okay, so that is my list of movies to catch before they leave Netflix in September. What do you think of the list? Comment below. Have you seen these movies? Do you plan on checking them out now that you've seen this video? Thank you all for being here. That'll do it for this one. We'll catch you in the next one.